Pick 1, pick 2, pick 3. Pretty sure that's backwards, but we're going with it. Let's start with pick 1. You chose this little turtle. Let's get a message. Tomorrow, the container that I ordered for the Oracle bucket will arrive. So this is the last official day with this bucket for the Oracle bucket. And I kind of planned on buying something else to store it in because, you know, I was thinking like a wine box, you know, with the curved top and like would be good, but I bought something more portable because I'll be doing some events and I want to be able to use this Oracle. So it's just more convenient to have it in something portable than in that decorative box. So eventually, though, I will get myself one of those boxes. I was thinking also I should probably just watch some yard sales and see what I can find, you know. I'm normally very frugal and thrifty and all this, but like lately I've just been indulging in just buying things that I need and want, and yeah, something just makes me feel like, okay, let's back that off and see if we can find it at a yard sale. Like I bought the Ninja Creamy. I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's really great, but like it's a pretty big investment for just like making my own ice cream frivolously. I have been delivering it to others. My family members love it too. But I'm starting to think like, did I really need to do that? So maybe you have been feeling like you need to like reel it back in a little bit and like questioning some of the decisions you made to invest in certain things. We got master and content. So the reason I haven't done a reading in a while, like a regular pick a reflection reading, is because I kept doing them and then they kept being just messages for me. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like keep this to myself and process. You could reach mastery on something, but right now you've been like content with it as it is. But if you were to dig a little deeper and find what was restricting you, which is something that's also a comfort zone for you, you could actually untangle this and achieve mastery on something. It's someplace where you have a little bit of doubt or a little bit of like not quite in the energy of faith on the topic. And I think it might have to do with trusting yourself or trusting the universe, right? Like it could be something about expecting the worst. Purposely causing chaos. Yeah, okay. So this comfort zone that you're in, it's like you've achieved a lot. You worked hard to get to where you are. There is something more for you, but also that would require you to leave this comfort zone. And because you've been staying in this comfort zone for so long, you do kind of sense or know that you outgrew it. And so the way that you've been sort of entertaining yourself is to like purposely cause chaos. And you may not be doing this consciously. When I say purposely, it could be part of your subconscious programming, the same subconscious programming that is enjoying the comfort zone and fears going out of it, and to achieve something more, mastery, in fact. And I think it's mastery of achievement, mastery of growth, meaning like we have this comfort zone, but then we do what we need to do while we're within it, and then we outgrow it, so we take a step out and into some more possibilities. So what you need to know about this is that what you can do is work on building your confidence. So, you may have very much confidence in the comfort zone you're in, and that's why you want to stay there. But can you build the confidence you'll need to step out of it? The confidence that recognizes that you have handled everything that you've traversed up until now in your life. That the excitement that you seek is right outside the place you've been restricting yourself. I think you feel really shy about taking the next step. It's like you feel it's like you'll be a beginner, a novice again, and that's, you're not loving that. And also you worry about how you'll be seen, because like if you've achieved mastery in something, say you have achieved mastery in something, which actually it might appear that you have achieved mastery in what you're in, but actually mastery would be also the ability to leave it behind, right? That's true mastery. But so if you're living in this sense of mastery, this sense of comfort and what you've achieved, then you know what to expect, and things are sort of like, how you're seen, you want to be seen a certain way. And this is something that is part of the reason that you would restrict yourself from it. It's like worrying about how other people will see you. So that's one of the things that you have to build confidence in. Like the ability to be misunderstood and to be okay with that, right? That can be really scary. But there is a way to be there for yourself so that it's not a scary thing. I mean, I know this from experience because I have done that, right? Like I have been in that position and then pushed out of it, and now am at risk of being misunderstood every day, but like it doesn't bother me like it used to, right? Like there would be a part of me that needed to defend myself or explain if somebody had me pegged wrong. But it was proven to me the other day, my sister was remembering something from the past, and her version of the events, although they weren't offensive to me, they were different from what I remember. And when she was saying it, I think I noticed that like an earlier version of me would have wanted to correct her and to like clarify the story and have it be accurate. And this version of me did not care about that at all. Like, I noticed myself just going, oh, isn't that interesting that that's what she remembers it as? And it was about me and my own behavior. And, I don't know, I just thought it was interesting, right? Because, like, that showed me that I reached a level of comfort in being misunderstood, or having someone see a different version of me than I see of myself, or whatever, right? Like, that's her perception, that's hers, and it had nothing to do with my worth, my value, my experience even. My experience that I had, was already resolved for me, and so it didn't feel relevant at all. Like, the experience now that I had with her discussing it was an experience of me noticing my progress. Are you... Sorry, I just have to do this. I feel wetness in my nose. I just get out of the shower. So, are you keeping a potential new friend or a new friend at a distance because in some unconscious place you don't trust them? They don't trust themselves, so what you're sensing from them is actually their own insecurity. And likewise, where you have insecurity, someone else senses that about you and can't trust you. Feels like you may be lying because you don't have the confidence. You're not standing in the confidence. Interesting. I just want to know, like, how that ties to the first part of this mastery thing. Oh. So the mastery is getting to the place where you don't mind what people think of you, right? Because here we just explained a situation where someone's insecurity could be sensed by someone, and then they don't feel like they're trustworthy because that person doesn't trust themselves. So someone who's very sensitive and feels energy goes, oh, well, I can't trust that person. They're not trustworthy. And in actuality, it's not that they're not trustworthy in general. It's that they don't trust themselves, which generally could make them untrustworthy. But, if they have integrity, if they are conscious and moral and all of that, those things could override any behaviors of being out of integrity or dishonest. But the point is, this person is still a person and they have to function whether you think they're trustworthy or not. So wouldn't it be nice for them if they were of the confidence level that they could handle it if you don't see them clearly? Right? So I feel like that's where you're going. You're going to the place where even if someone doesn't see you clearly, even if someone thinks that you are a liar, thinks that you are dishonest, that you know yourself to the degree, and you have confidence in yourself to the degree that you would just simply withdraw and allow that for that person if they don't want to be clarified on it or understand the reality of it, right? That you have your own back, that whatever other people are thinking, feeling, doing regarding you, that you're not taking it personally. You're a friend to yourself. Okay. Just go out into some situations where you can see how that works for you. A different version of you needed their approval. A different version of you needed to know that you were lovable. A different version of you needed to have their approval, attention, reassurance, whatever. But this version of you is ready to show yourself that you've mastered this, right? All you're doing is kind of staying in this place where it's already done. And the chaos that you're purposely causing just from a boredom, you know, and actually how that works is you've learned what you needed to learn. You've healed what you needed to heal. You balanced what you needed to balance out in the stage you're in now. And then once you've done it and you don't take the step forward, like your consciousness goes, well, okay, well, oh, remember that past thing. And then you manifest from the past, from the memories of the past, just because you haven't stepped in to the new space that you're totally ready for. And there may be some underlying factors like little worries about how might be seen, or feeling a little bit shy about stepping into that, or not feeling the most confident. But it's not that you don't have that. It's that you haven't even tried it out for yourself yet. And this is kind of saying, like, go do the things that would show you that you got this. So that your mind can start thinking about where you're at now instead of where you've been. Yeah. How exciting. Alrighty. Pick one. That is your reading. Remember, it's just information to reflect on. Only take what is useful to you. Leave the rest for someone else. I'll see you in the next one. Pick two. You chose this little turtle. I'm gonna need a moment to shuffle these. I'll pause you for that. Alright, I shut my TV off. I don't know if you've noticed the contrast now from the blue screen, now it's this, but my Roku times out that quickly. That was an 18-minute reading. It timed out as I had that paused. Sorry, I just gotta make sure that's not a spider and it's just one of my curls drying. Ooh. I'm not afraid of spiders, but I just don't want them crawling on the back of my neck, you know? Alright, so there's two things that are relevant for your reading, which is creepy crawlies, and maybe a little bit of like fear, and then like also a little bit of frustration with a situation that should have held out longer, sort of thing. Let's see what the bucket has to say. I feel like this one wanted to come out, so I'm going to take this. We got Truth, Find Out More, and Damocles. Damocles was the one who wanted to be in the king's throne. He was a servant to the king. One day the king let him, said, "Go ahead, sit in my throne." And Damocles looks up while sitting in the throne to find that there's a sword hanging over the throne by one strand of hair. So there's great risk for him to get this thing that he really wanted. He didn't understand the risk that went along with what he desired. So what you know is true, but there's more to know. And we talked about frustrating that something didn't like hold out longer. It's like you got saved from some situation. It's like it might have scared you for a minute. It might not have been the most comfortable, or like you might have had to like ride out a little bit of a fear moment. But actually, you just didn't know the risk of what it would have been if it had turned out the way you wanted or something like that. So once there was pressure on a situation, the truth came out. Like, you know, if somebody, here's just an example. If somebody asked you on a date and you were like, you know, actually, no, thank you, I'm not going to be able to go out with you. And then they freaked out and started calling you names to reveal what kind of person they actually are. And it's like, okay, well, that sounds dangerous. You know, someone who doesn't have control of their emotions and who lashes out at any sign of rejection and doesn't have like their own back and hold themselves in high esteem that they wouldn't act out in such a way is a troubling prospect to be in a dating situation with, right? Because like, imagine if you had decided not to go out with them after one date and they had some expectations towards you. What would they act like then? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying this is a dating situation at all, but I'm using that as an example of how pressure on somebody reveals the truth. Let's see. Like I'm not getting a flash of a situation that I can really feel good about using as an example yet, so let's see. Like, I know the example I used is not necessarily it, is what I'm saying, but like maybe you know the situation I'm talking about now, something that didn't work out the way you wanted, it was semi-frustrating, but you're free of it. You got spared. And so we got Feel It Gratia, which is an asteroid representing gratitude and values. And so I want to say it's like, feel what it felt like to be disappointed or frustrated, right? To not get it the way you wanted, because that perspective that you had was valid. And after you do that, can you sit in the place and look at the gratitude that you have for being spared that truth, the truth of the situation, which was at a high risk for you. And then like look at your values and really like help yourself establish your values in that, like, is your value that you get your way, or is your value that it comes out in the highest good of all? You know what I mean? Value meaning what's important to you. What are your values means what's important to you. So is it more important to you that you just get your way even though there was that risk, or can you be grateful for the fact that you were spared something? And then what does that inspire you to? Right? Are there other ways that you can live your life? It's like me with my television shutting off. Like, I don't have to look at it like it's a frustration where it's inconvenient because I can't pause my television for more than 15 minutes without it shutting off. I mean, the Roku. I could look at it like, you know, I'm never going to waste my electricity, or if a show is not interesting enough for me to keep watching it and I have to pause it for 15 minutes and forget about it while I'm doing something else, then maybe I'm being spared from even wasting my time on that. Like maybe there was something better for me to watch and I'll find it when I go back and turn it back on. You know, maybe I'll spend less time connected to my devices overall. Like there are a lot of ways that it could actually be viewed as a benefit, right? It's not, the TV's not on all night when I'm fall asleep and things like that. And I can be grateful that there is a benefit, and I might not even be aware of how beneficial it is for me to have the TV off while I'm sleeping, right? Because we get programmed in our sleep, and I don't want to be programmed all night when I sleep. Like actually, I don't like it when the TV is running all night long, but I do like to fall asleep to it. So in that way, it is actually a benefit to me. And maybe since I don't like it, there is actually detrimental effects of me being programmed during the night that I don't even know about, right? Like, so can you apply that kind of mindset thinking to the situation and then be inspired to change the way maybe even you navigate situations like this in general? Especially situations where it's like, it's not quite working the way you want it. It looks like it should work. If they would just do this different, or if this was just there, that would just be so much better. But maybe that's not true. Maybe everything is already working out for you. Maybe the angle it's at is the perfect angle for you to learn and see and be inspired to what you're meant to. Maybe it sparks a curiosity in you towards creative solutions, right? Like I could put on a long playlist before I go to sleep if I wanted it to play all night. You know, I could do all kinds of things to potentially overcome how it works if I wanted to. And so it could be that the situation is serving you in some unknown way like that. Like now you look for a solution to the issue based on what happened or how it is. But also just being grateful is mentioned here. You might want to share about it, talk about it, think about it. And kind of do that shift for all the parts of you that feel like pessimistic. All the parts of you that feel pessimistic can be shown that it's actually working out for you. It's like talking to those versions of yourself to let them see it another way. Like 3 reasons why the opposite is also true. You know, it's kind of loosening up some of these ways where you're letting life scare you or disappoint you. Like, you know, it could be like, I don't want to use that example. It could be like your job is going to lay a bunch of people off, and you're like really stressed about it, really worried, living on edge, living in fear, you know, wondering if when you get a notice in your mailbox, if that's going to be the day that you're let go, you know, and all the while not knowing that if you didn't get laid off from that job, you would miss out on the next opportunity that was really meant for you, that's towards your life's purpose. Or, God forbid, if you didn't get laid off from that job, then when the building got under some sort of attack, that you were a part of it. Like, I know that's an extreme example, and I'm not trying to trigger anybody, but I'm just saying, like, you can't see the risk of something working the way you want. So this is kind of saying, like, by understanding this, can you also apply that understanding to all the parts of you that feel pessimistic and that expect it to not work out for you, and teach them that it actually is working out for you? And what can you do to do that? And one way is to, name 3 ways the opposite is also true. But you can do some research on other ways to help yourself neutralize that energy. And you just identify it one at a time, right? Like one pessimistic thought at a time, one disappointment at a time, one fear at a time. And just go through with a conversation internally and get to the point where you can actually feel grateful for the experiences that you've had that didn't work out the way you wanted. And then be open to that possibility of things working out for you even when it felt like you would have preferred it another way. And make sure that when you're talking to yourself in this way, right, you're talking yourself through these things, that you do spend some time feeling any emotion that comes up with it. The fears, the doubts. It's important to feel and be present with those emotions that are present with anything you've been through recently that didn't turn out how you wanted, and any of the pessimisms that you zero balance, that you balance out. So if you're going through life generally grateful, and then something doesn't go your way and it puts pressure on you, like you get laid off of your job, and now all of a sudden you're a wreck and you're hating on God and you're just like lashing out at everyone and saying, oh, life doesn't go my way anyway, so I'm just going to break this law and do this unkindness, right? And it's like, it's saying pressure reveals the truth. So it's like, okay, once you have pressure on you, that is where you're being shown the things in you that are waiting for your love, the things in you that are waiting for your presence. So instead of lashing them out and projecting onto the others, notice those feelings are coming from you and spend time with each one of them. Spend time with the version of you that says, God isn't fair, right? And how that feels. And spend time with the version of you that says, well, I'm just going to screw everybody else over since I get screwed over every time. Like, that version of you feels something. Be present with that feeling and be the one who loves you even though you feel that. Okay, because this is showing you an opportunity for you to do a bunch of real cleanup, shadow work, to free yourself from these programs that are kind of replaying and probably causing a lot of disappointing experiences in your life, where you might feel a little bit jaded even by things not going your way all the time. So this flips it around and gets you in the direction of gratitude again, so that you can be given more things to be grateful for eventually. Eventually, as you get into this practice of being more grateful, even in those pressurized moments, even in those disappointing times, even in those times where it didn't go your way, then the reality will reflect that eventually. Okay, so pick 2. Remember, this is just information to reflect on, so only take what is useful to you and leave the rest. And perhaps I will see you in the next one. Pick 3. You chose this little turtle. Okay. Just gonna shuffle for a moment. I pick 3. I feel like you might have a lot of discomfort in your body recently. Also, you might be feeling passionately driven, appreciated, I heard like on top of the world. It's like an old friend to collaborate with. 5 weeks might be a relevant time period. Suddenly I see just what it means to me. Suddenly I see why the hell it means so much to me. If you know that song, I'm trying to remember the words to. Suddenly I see just who I wanna be. Suddenly I see. Something's got you feeling pretty good, though. Maybe you were feeling good and you got activated into something where you felt sad and wanting. Let me ask, why is this here? It's like you were going along so well and then something got you where it's like you didn't allow it for yourself. I don't know if you self-sabotaged yourself or you got triggered or something, but something kind of hit you and like threw you off. Is this about a connection? Is this about getting along with somebody and then like running into an old friend or an old memory of someone and then feeling like somehow looking at yourself in different eyes that are not that happy, appreciated, passionately driven eyes? Okay. We got the word stuck. And something I've been learning lately is when we look at narcissism, we can look at it in terms of just energy that is stuck. And also, I watched this 4-day summit on narcissism. And one of the speakers shared about narcissism in astrology, and he talked about the different planets, the planetary energy, and how it can manifest as narcissism. So narcissism is something that we all have, right? It's a self-focus, a self-love. And it's actually, what we need in order to proceed into this like new way of living on Earth where we tend to our own selves and validate ourselves and things like that, right? But when we're too stuck to be able to consider anyone else and we don't make that growth, that we're only in that self-centered, egocentric sort of view to the detriment of self and other, that's when we kind of think of it as like this is more on the harmful side, this is more on the toxic side, or this is behavior that is dysfunctional and will cause damage not only to ourselves, others, our relationships, but also eventually our body. Our body will start breaking down with the stuck energy because our bodies is where the energy is stored. Okay, so this particular energy that is stuck, it's got to do with love. Why am I saying that? Aphrodite's here and Eros is here. And hungry and sad and worry. And deception and influence. It's like the importance you're putting on some aspects. It's like your pride. Okay, so pride can say, I'm so important, or what I think is so important, or how I look is so important for that person to like me, you know? Pride is kind of this thing where you can get stuck pretty easily, right? Because it's something that's kind of like we kind of teach it to our kids. Like, I'm so proud of you. It's so weird to me, right? That people are like, oh, the good kind of pride. It's like, okay, well, pride, nothing is bad in general, right? Like, but pride will cap you out. Pride will keep you stuck if that's all you live for. And if you look at life in terms of your own pride, you can see that, like, you could be stuck in a view of yourself that says, like, it's important for me to be this, this, and this for somebody else, right? Because if your parents were proud of you when you did this, this, and this, then you're programmed to do this, this, and this to get that feeling again. And actually, if we just honor the whole process of growing, learning, and making mistakes and achieving things and success and failure and all that, I think we'd be a lot better off and we wouldn't get stuck at pride, you know. I understand why pride can be considered something healthy, just like narcissism can be something healthy. But it's not healthy when we get stuck there, okay? So I like to skip it altogether these days and just go for honoring my whole process. I want to say that on a soul level, whatever person has activated these insecurities in you, has made you realize, has made you, like, really aware of how you look, feel, love, are, your inadequacies. This person is actually contracted to do this with you on a soul level, because I have collaborate here, okay? So you've been activated into some energies that you're normally stuck in. And so if you're normally stuck in them, you probably operate in a way that you don't really pay attention to it, right? It's been there a long time. It's like, what would it be like? It's like if you got like a sliver of wood stuck in your finger and like a year later it was still there, and it's like nothing, it's just there. I don't know if that could really happen, but you know what I mean? It's like you don't even pay attention to it anymore. But it's could cause an irritation at some point, right? Like if then like you brush it just right and then it gets irritated and that little piece of wood moves and starts getting infected because now it's like moved out of the spot where it had been sitting, you know, and that seems to be what has happened here. Some sort of something has nudged you out of a place where there was just a good way of coping and avoiding the discomfort. And it's not because, like, this person is terrible, this old friend is terrible. It's because this was the time for it to happen for you. And maybe you, like, there are certain things that you feel guilty about because, like, you normally wouldn't allow yourself to feel guilty about it. You'd normally just kind of move along. And now maybe this old friend, like, poked in you something that you too feel guilty about, and you'd rather not think about it, kind of thing. But it's kind of been put up in your face, and it's bringing you to all these other things. And it is all tied together, right? Like, the reason you feel guilty is because you acted a certain way. And the reason you acted a certain way is because you were trying to navigate with this stuckness in... Let's ask what it's in. You could have been lying to yourself or the other, or both. Stuckness and pride. It's literally stuckness and pride. Narcissism is big in this one because it's got Leo. So it's pride. And, you know, that's pretty average for humans to get stuck in pride. As I just said, our parents talk about being proud of us. So the degree that this is affecting you and in what way will vary. But, like, I would imagine if you're very stuck, if you're very much stuck in that you've decided 100% unwilling to change, then you're probably not watching this. I'm pretty sure only people who would be able and willing to change would be watching this. So I'm just going to talk to you as if that's the case, okay? I want to ask more about what is the stuckness. So uncomfortable though, right? Like, that's what I feel. Feeling attractive, having friendships, being the one with the vision, being in service to other people, avoiding being rejected, and just prioritizing everything to be supporting this view of yourself that you have. Pitting people against each other. Okay, so this can be done very subtly, right? Like I'm sure it doesn't feel good if you've done that for me to be calling you out in that way, right? So let me think of like a way that I would have done this in my life so that I can... Well, I was never one to do this, but I could see, like, you know, if you have a breakup and then like you started dating someone else just so that the guy you broke up with would feel jealous or feel like they were missing out or something like that. Something like that. It's how you're seen. You really are doing a lot for people. But acting like you're free. Acting like you don't give a damn, and at the same time, it's interesting. If you were to admit it, you'd probably have to say you do need people to think that you're whatever you want them to think so that you don't have to feel this way. So if somebody is approving of you and appreciating you and telling you, then you don't have to feel guilty for the way that you have been fooling them. And the way that you actually despise them, and the way that you're actually playing them, and the way that you just do that to get this reaction. And think about it, if you've been parented in this way, right? Like, punishment and reward parenting does this, basically. It's like, act this way, do this, do the right thing, don't embarrass me in public, you know. Like, all these things that separate us from our internal guidance system and tell us to, like, act all these ways in certain circumstances because how we're viewed is the most important thing. So, like, I can't say that this is bad, you know. It's just the way it is. I'm just calling it out plain as day because, like, this is the way it is, right? I see this every day in my family, you know. I have family members who are in that stuck place, right? That aren't willing or wanting to see things. And because seeing things would require them to change something. But I can tell you this, they're also very miserable. They could put on a happy face, they could do this and this and this for that person, but at the end of the day, they're home alone with themselves and feeling the misery. They're in pain in their bodies. They're the people who are still operating in this manner. They don't know that this is narcissism. They look at themselves as kind, giving, generous people who are well liked and loved. And they are. But they're never going to feel that way when they're alone if they don't love themselves and all the ways that they feel rejected, all the ways that they feel guilty, all the ways that they feel worried, all the ways that they feel lacking, insecure, and sad. Like, it's up to you to take responsibility for this and to clear out from your operating system all the things that are keeping you in lower density ways of behaving. So, this is a big one. I can't, actually tackle this in a pick a card. If you're triggered right now, hopefully you can find some gratitude for it. Because who else is going to call you out? Who else is going to tell you, take a look? And there's no shame here. One of the things that they know about people who suffer or cope in narcissistic ways are that they're avoiding shame. And one time I just sat in the bathtub for days and days and days, every day with Epsom salt for hours and hours, and just let myself think of and feel all the reasons I had to feel shameful. And I just cried it out, and I stayed present with myself and knew that I was being present with the parts of me that felt ashamed. And I loved myself through all my shame. And it worked. It worked. Like, I love me even though I've done things that I once was ashamed of. I love me even though I've done things that someone else might think I should be ashamed of. And I don't feel ashamed of those things. I feel like I'm a human being and I was doing the best that I could with what I knew at the time. I've redeemed myself. And I know when that's the case, right? Because by the way I feel, the way I feel free of it, by the way I don't feel ashamed anymore, by the way somebody could call me out on that same thing and I wouldn't go and hide and I wouldn't feel ashamed and I wouldn't wish that they didn't know it. That's freedom. That's freedom. Not having to hide all your secrets and the things that you've done. I'm getting like this little message about overcoming fetishes and things like that, and I don't know, part of me doesn't want to really go into it, but I will say this, like everything can be overcome. Everything. I feel like I did come in with some things where I was curious and didn't know, and like there's those daddy issue things, and like I had to deal with all that and free myself of it. And I don't have any of those, I'll call them odd urges anymore, right? Like there's no part of me that needs to be choked. When I'm having sex, you know what I mean? Like, that part of me has been healed. But like, I don't feel ashamed of that. I love the part of me that felt like that was something she wanted to try. It's I feel like it's TMI, but someone out there must have needed to hear it, I guess. So, like, there's nothing that can't be redeemed. There's nothing that you can't decide to love in yourself. And it's you that matters. It's what you think of you. And if you have that need for other people to give you recognition and to be of service to them, to have value and all that, that can be taken away, and that will never ever fill you up. So it's only ever a temporary solution, and it will keep you in a little hamster wheel of always needing that to be the case. And that's not going to happen, because most people are going to have to like realize that it's up to each of us to do our own stuff now. Like, that's just how the world's going right now. Everybody. So I just joined this, Matthew McConaughey's putting out this talk on April 24th, and he has a Facebook group, and he's going to have some speakers. And I actually joined it because I wanted to see what the general public out there was looking for when it comes to like answers and solutions and how to feel good and stuff. And I was so surprised at how much people are suffering, just like everyday people. There's just like tons and tons and tons of people just talking about their sad stories in their introduction post on the group. And I'm like, wow, like, I mean, I really could help most of these people. So, but they don't know. And here they are looking for help. So, like, this is interesting. But I also think, like, there is this other project I'm working on. And, you know, if it was meant to be that I would be the one to assist them, that they would find me. They would look to me. I'm not, like, I don't feel like I should amp up my marketing or advertising. And I kind of think it's a gift that the weight of the world isn't on my shoulders, you know, and so I can do these creative projects that I'm working on, because that is really more appealing to me than having a full day of handling other people's problems. Because, you know, I like helping people who are really, really, really into helping themselves. But if it's someone who's like gonna take the session and not do the things that we talk about in it, that will wear me out quick. I know it will, because I have enough of that in my life, in my in my loved ones. So that's one of those things that's like, okay, it is what it is. Like, I'll just move on to what does interest me and what I can give back to, right? Like, I'm not getting my value from helping people, so it's okay. It's just like, oh, you know, part of me would think like, oh, since I can't help, I should help. But actually I've found out, like, if I can help and I should help, then they'll be led to me and they'll ask me for help. Simple as that. So that's where I'm at. And I hope that you will take the discomfort that I have pointed out to you, and both your body and your mind, and be present with it and love yourself through it. And just like I would feel like a trigger coming, because I had a lot of triggers, big triggers, like emotional dysregulation. This is for years and years, and like my triggers would make me want to die. So like I would get triggered and I would be all like feeling terrible and sad and mad and things, and I would just be like, fuck this, I'm done with this, you know? And then what I did was I would make signs and put them around my room, and I would remind myself, like, when I'm triggered, love myself. And so acknowledge, validate, accept, and love. And that helped me, because then I would just be like, okay. And it's kind of like white knuckling it at first, right? It's like, all right, I'm just going to take this emotion, and I would imagine the feeling like being into, pulling it into my heart. Instead of doing that lashing out thing and at the world and saying, fuck you, I'm done with this, I don't want to be here anymore, I would just say, no, this feeling is mine. And it was like that. It was like that. It was like doing that over and over and over again every day for months, for years. And it just got easier and easier and easier and easier and easier and easier. And now I have long times without being triggered, you know? And I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Like, if you could, like, it was like I ate the emotion, you know? Not, like, energetically, right? Like, it was just like, that's mine. I'm keeping that. I'm not lashing out anymore. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not blaming anyone. It's mine. It's my baby. You know, like, I just started loving every overwhelming as shit emotion. There was a lot of them, and there was a lot of tears, and all I did was just like be with my tears. You got to be able to cry, you know, or laugh. Laughter moves the energy as well, but like it has to be done. Vomiting can move the energy. Yeah, I can't stress enough that it's so worthwhile. No matter how bad the feeling is, it won't harm you. It's only what you do with that feeling that could be harmful. So just be with it. Just be with it. Like, if that sounds badass, then be a badass. If that sounds scary, then be the one who goes into the scary thing. You can do it. Okay. Remember, it's just information to reflect on. Only take what is helpful. Okay? Leave everything else. Only take what's helpful for you.